And then what about deal insights?
Yeah. Again, obviously something we're very focused on at Copilot. If you as a sales leader, so I want to talk about. I have this book always with me. It's called The Qualified Sales Leader. I know you're friends with John, Randy. Again, no connection, no endorsement, nothing of that sort. But I love this book. One of the things the book talks about is QBRs, right? How QBRs are such an essential. It starts with QBRs and how that's the way you actually evaluate what a deal really is. And so one of the things we're very excited about with Deal Insights is how your questions in the QBR can be based on the reality of what's happening on the call, right? So if you read John's book, or I'm sure a lot of CROs are in QBRs all the time, you're asking your questions based on what you know as part of your sales process and methodology. But what if instead you had insights and summaries on, hey, here is the pain that was discovered. It seems to be relatively shallow. And so then you can go and press the rep on, hey, have we really uncovered a deep enough pain here? What if you find from the deal that you haven't found a champion that is willing to advocate to the executive team? And you can know that very quickly, and then you can press the rep based on having a basis in reality. So what we're really excited from a deal review perspective is having that objective visibility into what's really happening in your deal without having to listen to a massive conversation.
So if I'm inspecting you on a deal that you might be trying to work with Gong, as an example. So we'll go through. Yeah. So I've got the typical, kind of here's my experience, who you've been talking to, kind of mind and gut things. I look at the CRM. Yeah. But kind of besides that, you're saying then kind of leveraging an AI piece that can actually say, hey, uncover some things that I otherwise might not be able to in the traditional kind of deal drill down scenario.
Yeah, exactly. Classic example, right? If you would ask me without an AI tool, what is the urgency to drive this? Why do you think this is going to close this quarter? But if you have these AI insights, you can say something like, well, it sounds like this executive buyer doesn't feel the urgency yet because they've indicated that they want to push this or whatever to the next quarter, or they've indicated they have lots of projects. So tell me why you think this is going to close this quarter when we have the executive buyer saying in black and white that they don't think this is urgent enough for this quarter, for example, right? So just being able to have that objective visibility to check the deal.
Wow, that's great. And we've the fourth piece is I guess deal scoring, which kind of comes into play with the deal insight piece, right?
This is the next frontier. We're really excited about this. We don't do this yet at Copilot, but it's certainly part of our roadmap and what we're excited about. So there's obviously a lot of deal scoring out there, right? How do you know where a deal is augmenting the human evaluation of the stage and the probability of closing with some automated insights? And that's really crucial for good forecasting, which is crucial for business predictability, everything. Now, the way this forecasting happens today, again, you think of things like Clary and other tools like that. Again, I have no connection with any of these companies. They do a really good job, but their deal scoring is based on metadata, right? Did we talk to a champion? What is the engagement rate with emails? When was the last contact with a prospect? Just metadata like this. But what if you could combine that metadata with the meat of the conversation content? For example, right? So let's say you've had 20 conversations in quick succession with a prospect. The metadata tells you that you have 20 conversations with someone senior. This is a good deal, right? You're having a lot of engagement. So that's great. And that's probably a really good place for where we are today. But what if in that last conversation, the CFO told you that, hey, we had a really bad quarter one, and so budgets are really tight for quarter two? That data is not being automatically captured anywhere in terms of informing where that deal really is. So I think the next level with large language models is combining the metadata of what's happening on the deal with the content of the conversations to really get to an even more holistic picture of here's where the deal really is. Here's where we would evaluate where the deal is from an automated perspective.
So some of these sales tech stack companies that are using AI today, is it an easy, natural thing to get embedded in it? So like you just mentioned Clary as an example, right? So is it easy that's automatically going to go, or do you have to have kind of unique IP in order to kind of make sure that happens so the company can make the next step?
You're talking about from a customer purchase perspective, right?
Not really customer purchase from, I'll say, a product roadmap, right? So you got all the different companies out there. Again, it could be a Gong, could be a Clary, the Viso, kind of whoever. So now it's almost like leveraging the AI piece that we just been talking about is kind of a must-have. So on a product roadmap, getting that feature in, is that an easy thing for them to do, or is that a hard thing?
I think it's not terribly hard, and I think these companies are very well positioned. And regardless of, obviously we hope that Copilot is one of the big default companies of the future in terms of the tech stack. But regardless of that, I think that is going to be the future, right? The future is going to be every company is going to have an AI-enabled component to help solve your pains better and more effectively.
Gotcha. Great. And then we talked about the chat GBT. You've kind of mentioned it a bunch, but I find it crazy, fascinating.
It's amazing. I mean, so here's the story. It's I guess not entirely fun, but when I was a master's student at Stanford doing AI, I was actually with this, I worked with this PhD student, and her thesis was around summarization, right? How do you use large language models to summarize? This was back in 2020.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, at the conclusion of 5 years of her PhD, her thesis was, it's really freaking hard to do summarization with the state-of-the-art models. This was just 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And her thesis was it's not possible to do it in a way that scales across multiple domains. And fast forward 3 years, and here we are where ChatGPT and other things, you can summarize any content from any domain. It can be a poem, it can be a sales call, it can be it can be an email. You can summarize any kind of content, and it does a pretty darn good job of doing it. So that's just to illustrate the progress we've made in just 2 or 3 years, right? And so the future here, I am really excited for what it brings. But one thing I will say, this is not rocket science or crazy insight, the companies that will make money in the future are the ones that combine the capabilities of AI, I understand them, with existing product knowledge and customer knowledge, right? So it's not just about, here's an AI thing that we're a layer on top of ChatGPT and you can do whatever you want with it. It's more, hey, take this AI capability and then apply it to the context of your customer, right? That is really the core in every single industry. And the nature of that will obviously vary. And it's obviously what we do as well. We try and take that AI and apply it to your sales process and your methodology, et cetera.
Yeah. And then from a summary perspective, the fact that it actually makes sense, right? So you can read it. Yeah. So my wife, we've got a birthday for my 60th, my father-in-law's 85th coming up. So she said, okay, write up something, X number of words that talks about, Randy and 60 and Tom and 85 and Bob, a couple other things. And the thing it spit out made a lot of sense, but it was just like, if we try to write ourselves, we wouldn't be able to do it.
It'd be impossible. It takes so long. It's amazing. Like that's the creativity piece of it, which is amazing. Like I get it to write limericks just for the heck of it. And I give it a little bit of context and it's able to build this amazing thing. It's fantastic.
So crazy. And then, so what does this do then? I don't know if you have a view on the, AI companies. So like a data robot, C3 AI that traditionally will have their models where they'll say, hey, we can help you, a lot of use cases, but, help you kind of, be able to maybe do some improvements in your supply chain or kind of help you sell more.
Yeah.
So now in effect with Chat GBT and some other technology, that's kind of really turbocharging their offerings. Is it turbocharging their offerings or is it commoditizing it?
Yeah. So I'll start by saying I don't know enough about these companies and precisely what they do.
The enterprise AI companies.
Yeah. I think it depends on what is the core of their value for their customers, right? If the core is we're able to customize our AI models so that it works for you, on the one hand, it could potentially hurt them, I guess, because now you can get that customization for free from ChatGPT. But on the other hand, I think the thing we're seeing is a lot of executives are really focused on how can we use AI to turbocharge our productivity, right? So from a marketing and awareness perspective, there may be a lot more awareness of how AI can help them, which may really help them sort of turbocharge their ability to sell and get the attention of the executive buyers because they're already thinking about this. And I only say that because we see this ourselves. We talk to CEOs all the time who are like, well, we want to figure out how we can use AI today to get a competitive advantage in the market because it's here to stay. Not all CEOs think this way, but a lot of them do. And we obviously share that perspective. If you are a forward-thinking CEO, you're going to be thinking about what's the fastest way I can get value for my company, either in terms of cost savings or in terms of better customer experience or more revenue. How can I use AI for that? So that's something that might help these companies.
Awesome. We have a follow-up question from Phil. Maybe he's interested in Copilot. Who are your primary partners to bring a full solution to your customers and also broaden your capabilities for more use cases?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Phil. It's a really good one. I think for us, we sit in this ecosystem with the call recording solution in particular. I think is a very important partner to us. We don't have a preferred partner, but we love Gong. We also love Chorus, everyone else. And so I'd say that's one of our primary partners because the way Copilot works is you can get the insights and the summaries, etc. But then you can also go and listen to that snippet in Gong, Chorus. So you get the best of both worlds. It's one of our customers likes to call it trust but verify. So you trust Copilot, you get the insight, but then to verify it, you go into Gong. So I think that's obviously part of it. We also have a broader ecosystem play with Salesforce, obviously CRM, and Slack as a way to deliver some of these insights. So I'd say that's sort of our ecosystem today with call recording, the CRM, your chat or your workspace solution like a Slack, and then Copilot sits in between.
Awesome. So thanks, Phil. And again, those watching along here, if you get a point of view, you want to comment or ask any questions, please feel free. So now put your future goggles on here. So in the future of AI relative to sales, so obviously there's a lot of big enablers that are a lot of good things to help, but is it actually going to take jobs away from kind of reps or managers, or what do you think?
Yeah. It's a really good question. I get it all the time from a lot of managers and leaders I speak with. My perspective is, winding back a bit, the history of automation has never been about destroying jobs, or very rarely it's been about that. It's about changing the nature of the work. And so you spend your time doing stuff that is more high value. And so my perspective is sales will be one of the last professions to go away. And the reason I think that is because as a human being, I do not want to buy $100,000 worth of anything from a robot. That's what it comes down to, right? Because we as humans do not trust, at least right now, we don't trust large purchases. We don't trust a robot to actually make that large purchase. So there's always going to be a human element, particularly for purchases of that size. And smaller ones, you already have self-service and product-led and all that. So we start with that. Sales is not going anywhere, right? Now, but what does that mean for sales managers and sales leaders? I think it's going to change the way you operate for sure. Sales managers, the best sales managers, are going to incorporate AI to make themselves more productive. Whether it's Copilot or other things, basically making sure that you can actually get coverage across your deals, across your calls. That's going to make you a lot more productive as a manager. As a leader, if you want to get much better at forecasting, at deal reviews, deal inspection, etc., there's a lot of AI solutions for that, and there are other ones too. So my perspective is sales is going nowhere. However, if you're a sales manager or a sales leader who doesn't adopt AI in the near future as a part of your sales process, while making sure it fits in, you might be left behind. So I think that's my sort of overall perspective. I was talking to Dustin, the CRO of Affinity. I was talking to him the other day, and he spent 15 years, started his career at Salesforce, sort of grown up selling SaaS for many years now. And his perspective, which I really agree with, is when innovation comes at you, you got to embrace it. That's the most important thing from an attitude perspective. If you embrace it and don't run away from it because you're afraid of what it means, you will be really well positioned. Because believe it or not, there's going to be a lot of people who will not embrace it. And so you have the ability to get that alpha to be competitive amongst your peers by embracing it and turbocharging your productivity.
Yeah. But also I wondered, I could debate you to say, okay, you go back, 10 or 15 years ago, would you think you'd buy, thousands of dollars of furniture from Wayfair? Would you buy what you can kind of from Amazon, right? So
Yeah.
there's going to be probably some continuum up where
100%. I think you're right. Like the PLG threshold is going to go up further and further. It actually also ties with a broader trend of a lot of the purchase decision. If you think about awareness, consideration, evaluation, whatever it is, a lot of that is moving further and further ahead in the cycle, right? That's already happening even before this AI trend. So more of that's going to happen. You're going to have higher ticket purchases that happen. There's still going to be large enough deals that require a salesperson because people don't want to buy from a robot.